Hey guys, it's Tim here. I hope you all had a great New Year's, and here we are in 2019 and we're going to kick it off on the channel with a review of the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller. I know it's been out for a while, but my wife bought me this as a Christmas gift and I wanted to offer a review of it to you all in case anyone's on the fence about whether or not they should pick it up. And with a pretty high price tag of $69.99, I imagine there might be quite a few of you out there in that position. So right from the jump, the very first thing I noticed about this controller is its build quality. I hate to say this, but I oftentimes have felt like Nintendo has skimped in the hardware department on their consoles in order to make them more affordable. This has led to many of their systems having much more of like a kiddie feel when compared to what's coming out over at Sony and Microsoft, their competitors. And I'm happy to say that's not the case with this controller. The plastic feels very sturdy, and overall I was surprised at the amount of heft that it has. It just feels so much more solid in the hand when compared to the Joy-Cons. The sides of the controller also has this really nice matte finish to it that a lot of players that get sweaty hands really easily are going to appreciate in their long Smash Bros. Play sessions. Also, the center of the controller has this very subtle touch of having clear plastic. It reminds me of the good old days of Nintendo's heyday whenever the Nintendo 64 and the Game Boys were made of clear plastic like this. I don't know, it was just a really cool callback. Now let's talk about the actual buttons, triggers, and analog sticks. The main A, B, Y, and X buttons are surprisingly large and really nice to press down. Like, they have the perfect amount of travel to them. The other face buttons like plus, minus, home, and share also feel like they've been placed appropriately and they're really easy to reach with your thumb. Now talking about the analog sticks, this is going to be where this review soars to its highest of highs. Overall, these control sticks just feel incredible and accurate to use. Also, whenever you click them in, they have just the right amount of travel and they make a really good clicking sound. It's just right. And I can't believe that I'm about to say this, but I really do think that these control sticks are better than what's over on the Xbox One and even on the PlayStation 4, which is pretty crazy. And a lot of you guys might be saying, well, yeah, well, for 70 bucks it better. And that's exactly my point, is Nintendo named this the Pro Controller, and it really does live up to its names, especially with these inputs. It's just so great. I will say the one semi-shortcoming of this controller is the triggers. They're digital triggers, so they click right down immediately and have no travel to them. Now, this is definitely going to annoy a lot of Xbox players that are used to their pressure-sensitive triggers that can be pulled down halfway, but for people who are going to be using this controller mainly for Nintendo games, it's kind of a small gripe. But if you're a big first-person shooter fan, that's definitely something to keep in mind before you drop $69.99 for this thing. Hey, but the bumpers right above the triggers are placed just right and they feel great, so no complaints there. One last thing I will say about this controller that I personally don't have a problem with, but I could see being an issue, is the D-pad. I think a lot of retro gamers are gonna wish that this was a lot less mushy, but it kinda is. But for a lot of Switch games, that's not really gonna matter, but if you're wanting to play a lot of old school games with this might not be the best D-pad, but it's not the worst either. Now, this controller also has some other features that weren't immediately apparent that really just like set it over the edge for me. Number one being the battery life. The battery life on this thing is an absolute beast. Just for comparison's sake, over like the last 2 weeks, I've used my Switch and PS4 like the exact same amount, kind of alternating between them, and I've had to charge my PS4 controller like twice. This thing is still on like 75% or 50% battery, and I've only charged it once. It's crazy. Also, it's worth noting that this controller uses USB-C, so the charger that actually charges your Nintendo Switch system will also charge with this controller. But it's also worth noting that it comes with an extra USB-C charging cable that goes into the USB port on your Switch, so that's awesome. One really great thing about this controller as well that I wasn't necessarily expecting is how great the wireless connection is to the Switch, which sounds really weird, but our living room is kind of shaped strangely, so our couch is really far away from the TV, and the Joy-Cons just from time to time would have sort of like connection lag issues, or sometimes the connection would kind of go in and out. This thing just connects really solidly to the Switch. It's like we sit like 15, 20 feet away from the TV, and it never has a problem, ever. It's so nice. Also, there's a really small sync button located at the top of the controller that you can just press at any time to reconnect it to your Switch or connect it to a new Switch that it's never been connected to before with ease. It's really nice and convenient. Some other notable features that I personally haven't tested yet but are there is that this controller actually supports amiibo. Underneath the right control stick, you just tap your amiibo figure right there and it'll scan it into the game. Also, this controller has motion control capability that I've heard is pretty accurate. So that's there, and for $70, a lot of you guys are saying, well, it better be. And yeah, it's there. Guys, I know there's a lot of other third-party Pro Controller options out there for the Switch, but if you decide to pay the $69.99 for this one, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I just found myself returning to old games that I'd already beaten on the Switch and using this controller, and it just kind of breathes new life into them. They just feel so much better to play with this. My favorite uses for it so far are with Fortnite and with Smash Bros. Don't kill me, all you GameCube controller purists out there. I know that's blasphemous, but this controller really is great. So do you guys already have a Switch Pro controller? What do you think of it? Let me know down in the comments below. And hey, if you're new to the channel, I make weekly entertainment tech and review videos for gamers, movie lovers, and tech nerds alike. So click subscribe right here on my floating head to come along on the journey with us. You can also check out more of my Nintendo Switch videos from the past right here. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Looking forward to the rest of 2019 with you all. Have a great day.